welcome to You're Wrong About Musicals. I'm Esme.
And I'm Nell.
Today we are going to be talking about Assassins in honor of the US presidential election.
Do not read into that.
We don't want either of them to be assassinated. It's just dealing with political... No. It's just dealing with political themes in America. I don't want Donald Trump to be assassinated. I just want him to go to prison.
Yeah.
Like...
It's also kind of like one of the... It's a musical explicitly about presidents.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of. We've already done Hamilton, dream. So we don't want to do it again.
And Soft's has still got some stuffing left to do before we can fully talk about it, you know?
It's actually quite unfortunate that Annie would have been perfect for this week.
We just talk about FDR again, though.
Love that guy.
But yeah, first off, we've got some news.
Number one, I got a fringe.
Now
I did it myself in my bathroom.
Yeah.
And it doesn't actually look bad.
It looks really nice.
It actually looks quite good.
It looks really
nice.
I
can't see it right now. It's in a roller. And I've actually rolled it really badly, but I'm committing to it.
Also, this is audio only.
You can imagine. It's like a little fringe and it's rolled up very...
Oh yeah, happy birthday to my dad. It's his birthday on tomorrow. It's currently Halloween, so that'll be Friday. Happy birthday to him. He shares birthday with Hello Kitty.
Happy 50th birthday to Hello Kitty. It actually wasn't coming out for a second there, so I did kind of fuck up like, oh fuck. I fucked it.
The amount of times I've done that when I had a current bangs, it was kind of unfortunate. I'm also currently drinking as many liquids as I humanly can to not get sick. This is the worst week for me to get sick. And if I do get sick, should I tell you who I'm blaming it on?
Who?
That little kid in the waiting room. I went to the hospital this week for my teeth. There was a little kid in there. Again, we're in the fucking dental part of the hospital. Why is there a little kid being sick? And his mum...
It's disgusting.
Unfazed in front of the whole waiting room. I watched this boy pick up the lid, was sick in it, and then left. Actually, I'd like to say shout out to my new dentist, so she's a real G. I've got an appointment that doesn't clash with me getting my hair done or seeing Great Comet, which it very easily could have. So, shout out to her. Anyway, let's talk about something else that we love, Andrew Lloyd Webber. Yeah, he has a new musical called The Illusionist with a book by Chris Terrio and Bruno Major writing the lyrics.
This shocked me because I used to be a massive Bruno Major fan. Like, it was kind of he was all I'd listen to. I still love like a ton of his music. My Instagram bio is still a Bruno Major lyric.
Is it? I don't listen to Bruno Major, so I didn't realise.
It's still just a Bruno. I really like his music. I should start listening to him again.
I wasn't recognizing, like, because I saw his name and I knew vaguely his vibe, and I was like, huh, him and Andrew Lloyd Webber, that's crazy. I have to see it.
Yeah. It's, to be fair, I don't know if you've seen this drama this week, but people are getting increasingly more annoyed by film to stage adaptations.
Yeah, same.
And The Illusionist is another film to stage one, isn't it?
Yeah, but I say we don't let Andy come up with his own ideas.
Yeah.
You know? And here's the thing. Phantom is an adaptation.
Yeah.
He never adapts source material, like, exactly. It's not going to be like your Back to the Future or your Mean Girls, where it's kind of just the film put on stage with some songs. From the sounds of it, because also the other piece of news, the big news was Jamie Lloyd is directing. And I don't think Jamie Lloyd is gonna be... I don't think it's gonna be a School of Rock or even a Bad Cinderella. That's what I'm getting at here.
Yeah.
You know? And also, I realised this week, when Andrew Lloyd Webber has a strong director who will tell him, no, that's a stupid idea, he can make some really good work.
Hmm.
Like Hal Prince. Hal Prince was one of the best collaborators Andrew Lloyd Webber could have ever had.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of unfortunate that as Andrew Lloyd Webber has gotten more successful, I think directors are scared to tell him no.
Mm.
And that's not like a beef with directors. If I was in the presence of Andrew Lloyd Webber, I would not be able to tell him no.
I would not. The shit we say about Andrew Lloyd Webber here, we would not be able to say this.
No, if he was like standing in front of us, I'd be like, I'm a really big fan of your work, sir.
I really love your work. I'd like probably curtsy.
Really cool. Yeah. Um, love the guy.
I
But
love him.
yeah, because it was that, and then there was, I'm sure you've got the news on here somewhere, the 13 going on 30 announcement.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, the other thing I'd like to say about Andrew Weber and Strong Directors is I really thought it was going to be another Lawrence O'Connor job, and I was like,
mm,
fuck, it's going to be a Lawrence Connor job, and then I saw Jamie Lloyd and a cheer I let out. The wave of
I love
yes
Jamie
that
Lloyd.
filled over me
I can't
was.
believe he got jaywalking legalized in New York.
I saw that. I was like, I feel like there's some news I should write down about jaywalking, but I can't remember the link. But no, when he's because basically my beef with Lawrence Connor, and I do have beef with Lawrence Connor, he is just Cameron and Andy's little bitch boy.
Yeah. Again, would not say this to his face.
I would say, actually, what would I say to him? Because I don't know if I actually like any of them.
mm,
I think he's made all of them kind of worse. I would say I respect for what you tried to do with Miss Saigon. His thing. Love all the scores of all the shows he's worked on. I think that he's fucked them too much. Anyway, not the point. Um, yeah, Jamie Lloyd will tell Andy to go get fucked, and that's what he needs.
yeah.
So big news. Speaking of Jamie Lloyd and Andrew Lloyd Webber, he's apparently Andy was running his mouth, and this is the kind of Andy running his mouth that I love because he's not supposed to say these things, and yet he just says them because he loves attention and wants more. You know?
And can't we all relate to that?
Yeah. It's such a human thing of like if there was a mic on me and I knew a lot more
If
people.
there was a if there was a mic on you, Esme, what's in your hand?
I mean, you know what I mean. If there was a mic, if there was a mic on me and
Like,
I knew there was
let
gonna
me
be
move mine more
I
center
mean,
screen. Esme,
if there was a
why
mic
did we
on
start this podcast?
there was a mic
For
on me.
attention.
There was a mic on me and I knew everything I said was gonna get a Broadway World written article written about it.
Actually, our biggest fear.
Oh yeah. If we ever end up in Broadway World, it's for the wrong reasons.
If you're ever reading a Broadway World article and it says like the podcast
You're wrong
You're
about
Wrong About
musicals.
Musicals said, we're going into hiding, we're quitting.
Yeah. There's a list of things that if happen, we're quitting. Anyway, on to some more Andy news. Sunset Boulevard cast album came out. We were in London. We were wandering around central London on Saturday,
Saturday.
and we saw. I just stopped dead in the road, and I went, "That's a Sunset Boulevard QR code that was just spray painted onto the street."
We were actually really distracted because something was going on.
Yeah, we were very confused, and we were having this discussion, and I just stopped dead in the street, and go, "That's a Sunset Boulevard QR code," and it was
Yeah, I have
crazy
a picture
times.
of it still.
Yeah,
We'd
so.
actually also been pretty disappointed. We went to the
Oh
V&A.
yeah, oh yeah. I was thinking about that this week. I'm kind of still annoyed about it.
Yeah. The okay, it's not a musicals exhibit. We've been
And it
calling it
is.
the musicals exhibit. There was a musicals exhibit.
It's not anymore.
It's not anymore. It's a theatre and performance one, and there has always been a theatre and performance section.
Mm.
That's where the musicals exhibit was.
Yes.
But what is there currently is not. They've lent heavily into the performance part of theatre and performance.
Yeah.
Um, we got to see a costume worn by Lin-Manuel Miranda. That was fun.
I forgot how short he was. Because that's the
Yeah,
thing, whenever you see like something someone's worn, you realize how short or tall they actually are. And I was like, holy fuck,
yeah.
Lynn's short.
Like some of it was really cool stuff.
Mm.
From like films. There was a lot more opera and ballet, which was nice. But because the thing is, basically the old musicals exhibit had a screen that you could sit down in front of, and it just played clips from musicals.
Guys, we would go at the most random times and be so annoying there because no one else was there.
Yeah, we got like glared at multiple times.
Oh, but it was free, and so I didn't actually give a shit.
Like we'd sit there for the whole like 20-minute run through of all of their clips.
Sometimes we'd watch it twice just to see that chandelier up close again.
Yeah, it was really fun. And it's not a bad exhibit. Basically, what I thought like after I've sat with it for a few days, it's not a bad exhibit. It's honestly quite interesting.
Yeah.
It's just not about musicals, and that's what we were hoping it was about.
And they'd like made a
And it
thing
was stuff
about
like they used to have a Six costume
yes.
on display, and they don't anymore. And I
Yes.
think they also had a Moulin Rouge costume that they don't have anymore.
Yeah. And it's stuff like that where it's like, why wouldn't you display those? Because those would be things that people would care about.
They had some cool stuff. We got pissed off. They had a sign showing the old prices to get into the theatre.
Don't get me started.
Furious.
Don't get me started.
Um,
No, I have such mixed feelings and thoughts about it because the V&A have such an extensive theatre collection, and it does make me annoyed that they're not displaying more of it.
like the whole thing was they were like, oh, it's 100 years of our theatre and performance,
Mm,
like exhibit.
yeah.
I don't like. I need to like emphasize. It was not boring. It was a very interesting exhibit,
Mm,
and it was fun to walk through.
yeah.
Like there were points where we were running around being like, "Oh my God,
This was like
wow!"
we were like, this is sick. This is so cool.
It was basically just when we got to the end and we realized we were at the end, we were like, "Oh,
This is it.
I kind of wish there was a bit more."
Yeah, 100%.
Um, but I would still recommend if you have the opportunity to go to the V&A
Mm,
and this exhibit is still on, go.
yeah.
If the musicals exhibit is on, go.
It's a fun,
It's so
free.
good.
It's also free.
Yeah. The
And
V&A
so,
is really sick. You can walk through the
guys,
like jewelry section, you
guys,
can walk through the stained glass windows.
the amount of time I spend in the V&A is truly like mind-boggling.
Yeah.
It should be illegal how much time I spend in the V&A. But like, this bitch is back again.
But it's so good. The other thing I was saying is it's kind of annoying that they don't have any gift shop stuff for the theatre and performance section.
We would buy it.
We would. Like, I think it's a fun section. I kind of wish that, and maybe they do have something and we just can't see it. I should go on like the V&A website and look.
They have, this is probably because Swifties love to spend money. But when the Taylor Swift stuff was there, they had some really cool merch. And I do own some of it. Someone bought it for me as a birthday present. But it's really cool and it's really subtle. It is a photo of a cat, and on the back it just says Taylor Swift, the storybook exhibit.
Like, it's the thing, the V&A is really good with the kind of stuff they put out.
Yeah, and it's purple and As We Speak Now, and I love it. But no, it was funny because when we were walking through, I was like, that's the red room, and that's the Speak Now room.
Yeah, she was like, that's the Speak Now room. It was like this gorgeous room.
And you were like, that's where you remember it. And I was like, well, they did just have like the Speak Now TV back in the cover dress in the room, and they were playing Enchanted, so it is the Speak Now room. The other thing I have to say on the Sunset Boulevard cast album is because I was thinking about Grace Hodgett Young, I was thinking about West End cast albums. So the next thing I just have written down was when will Hades found? Come on, come on. You know, I wish they hadn't told me that it existed.
I wish they just like dropped it.
Here's the thing. If you're going to tell me that it exists, give me a day. Otherwise, I don't want to know it exists until you are ready to give me a day. Why haven't they released it?
We've actually got to crack on a bit.
We have
We've
actually.
been recording for like an hour.
Yeah, and we haven't.
It is Halloween.
Yeah.
We are both going out tonight.
Yeah, we've got clubs to hit. Actually, I'm not making it to the club. I'm going to the party and then going home.
I'm going to the club. If my fucking top comes.
Rock on, Queena. That's what I'd say. Ragtime performances have started. If anyone would like to send me a bootleg, our socials are out there. They're linked. Our email's also out there. If you guys would like to just like slip me a bootleg, I would be greatly appreciative. Because Showtail was really annoying.
What?
I want to get this out of the way. I love Casey Levy. Love her, love her, love her, love her. Seen her three times now? Oh, 4 times. Massive fan. Anyway, I don't know how I feel about a belting mother. You know, it would be my take. You know, it would be how I cast a production of Ragtime. However, love her. But why in the B-roll footage did they cut out my favourite part of Back to Before? And I got so annoyed because I was like, they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it. And then it cut. And I was like, that's rude and offensive to me. And they cut to the end of the song. Anyway.
They're out to get you specifically.
They're out to get me specifically. I would also love to see any of the Sarah stuff. Your Daddy's Son. Hit me up. Back to the Future to close on Broadway. I wish it would close on the West End. That's a joke.
Are you sure?
No, it's not a joke. They are doing a massive advertising push in London at the moment, and so I am side-eyeing a little bit. You know what I mean? They're doing like an insane advertising push. No, it's closing on Broadway. No one's surprised. That show cost a shit ton to run, and to just I don't know. It did run for a year though, So it's not done
Yeah.
horribly. I don't know why everyone's actually like Back to the Future closing as like the death to musical theatre. I think if Hamilton were to close tomorrow, then I would be sounding the alarm that the apocalypse is
Oh
coming.
yeah.
But like, we're good. Romeo and Juliet opens. Rachel Zegler gives another banger interview. I think she's very smart and insightful. Love to hear from her.
Love Rachel Zegler, just full stop.
Yeah. And it gets mixed reviews, which was interesting. The most interesting comment I heard was Kit Connor is the only one who understands Shakespeare. And I was like, that's so interesting and weird, but I understand what they're saying.
Mm.
There was a part of
I
me that
think
was,
to be fair,
yeah,
it's Romeo and Juliet has been done so much
yeah,
that honestly, and I don't think that this production is bad or is going to be bad in any way.
yeah.
But I think it is really fun to have one that doesn't do, how do I put this? Like the understanding Shakespeare approach.
Mhm.
Like being like, this is what Shakespeare meant when he wrote this. And
Yeah,
just being like, fuck it. This is what's happening.
yeah.
Like when she says this line, everyone else thinks she's meaning this. No,
Mm,
this is
mm,
what she means.
mm.
I don't know if that's like explained well.
I think I understand what you mean.
But I think even if it becomes like a weird, like not quite making sense story,
Mm. I
I think it's
think,
fun. I
I
mean,
think,
it's a play with Jack Antonoff's music.
yeah, like the tagline to it is "The youth are fucked."
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything, but I think what all the reviews were saying is he's the only one who can find the iambic pentameter of the like find the rhythm of Shakespeare, which I found an interesting comment because I
Well,
never.
yeah. So he studied it every year
Yeah,
since he was
that's
11.
also what I was thinking. I was like,
Like,
yes, the British boy who went to a very expensive private school probably spent a lot of time thinking about Shakespeare. I don't know. Interesting. Um, Real Women Have Curves to play the James L. Jones Theatre. I'm really intrigued about the musical, actually. Like, I know it's a movie to musical adaptation. I did say I was kind of pissed at them, but this feels interesting to me, you know? It's not a title that everyone knows. I think, yeah. Anyway, I'm intrigued. Charlie D'Amelio makes her Broadway debut. She looks great in it.
it looks really good.
I don't like Aunt Juliet, but she slots in amazingly.
Like, I stand by what I was saying before of like, I don't think they're necessarily stunt casting the ensemble. The
It is a
closest they've got
draw.
is I did see a like video where they were like introducing each like person in the like ensemble, and
They,
she was obviously front and
yeah,
center first. And I was like, ultimately, not stunt casting, just good marketing.
they
If you've
are
got
like,
Charlie D'Amelio,
yeah, use her.
use her.
They are like definitely like making obviously they're making a lot of TikToks being like here's Charlie D'Amelio because obviously why wouldn't they?
Yeah,
It
but
is
she's
crazy.
really good in it.
I was also like deeping Charlie D'Amelio for the first time since like 2020. Like, how is she the same age as me? I think I would have gone insane if I were her age and like I'd got that famous.
I know.
I I have massive respect for her now. Like I had an epiphany the other night. I was like, I massive respect for Charlie D'Amelio. Um, Lucy Jones to return to Les Mis. Love her. I think Katie Hall's going on the arena tour for a bit. So
Yeah,
they're
someone's
swapping.
going on it for like six top stops.
Yeah. Again, get me to the Les Mis arena tour. I need to be in the pit for one day more.
I'd be moshing to one day more.
My dream. You joke. But at the end of the day, I will be in the pit, you know? Um,
I need to get like my flashlight out for like on my own.
yeah, like sway in the crowd.
Yeah.
Because that's how I would like to enjoy Les Mis sometimes, you know? Just fucking let me go a bit rabid. Yeah.
What if the arena tour does surprise songs?
Pop out some other like Alan Bluebeal and Claude Michel Sonberg bangers.
Yeah.
They just start belting Miss Saigon. Here's the thing, I would unironically love it. That sounds like a great night at the theatre. Not at the theatre, at a concert. Best
At the
concert of
arena.
my life. Best concert of my life, actually. Yeah, second best concert of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, firstly going on 30 to play Manchester. We briefly talked about this. We'll also do Devil Wears Prada stars performances. It's going down well here. A lot better than it did in the Town tryout. People are very excited. We're very intrigued. Yeah. Um, do Little Women musical because we need two musicals of every book Esme cares about. You know, we just need
Yep,
two. We
we
have to
always
have
do.
two. Um, I don't know how deep I could get invested in this Little Women musical. I don't think the other one's like particularly great. I just really enjoy some of the music, especially the stuff around like Beth's death. I think it's very good at handling that, and it's very lovely. And also, I do think that they get. I'm not going to into it. I caught myself. I was like, oh, I've got to stop. Um, yeah, 222 is going on a tour because it will never die. Edward Scissorhands jukebox musical with music include like it's got a lot of pop people, but one of them is Taylor Swift. I would not buy a ticket guaranteeing that there is going to be a Taylor Swift song in that if I were you. Um, that is because Taylor Swift stuff was originally meant to be in on Juliet, and then it wasn't. So proceed with caution. Also, I don't like jukeboxes. Please, Taylor, stay away. Word of mouth for Wicked is good. I'm about to reach Wicked fatigue, and the movie ain't even out yet.
Yeah. I really want to see it.
I'm gonna go see it, but like, another thing I was gonna say about Wicked is I saw some of the merch in person last week, and a lot of it's shit quality.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like the Primark merch I was looking at. No, the MMS merch. Also, why are there Wicked cars? Why are there Wicked MacBooks? Like, we've got to stop with the Wicked tie-ins.
I will say,
Yeah,
I continue to search for my wicked squash.
there's some at my local Sainsbury's.
Cute.
I
I'm
debated.
gonna go to Sainsbury's today and I need it to make my mixes with. I'm gonna go pick up some like Malibu and Alphaba squash.
Oh my
And
gosh,
that's gonna be my drink.
if we run over, I'm gonna have to start drinking this as we're talking about assassins.
Dear Lord.
Dear Lord, for reference, I did just pull out an entire bottle of wine. Um,
Which would not be the first time we've drunk. One of us has drunk an entire bottle of wine while on call and recording this podcast. But mine was for the podcast. We were
yeah,
doing something with
we would
it.
we had a plan.
Exactly. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna buy Malibu, maybe vodka,
Yeah,
some like Sainsbury's own lemonade,
yeah,
70p,
yeah.
and the Elphaba green glittery squash. And if they don't have it, I'm not going out.
See, I'm going to a Halloween party and there's unlimited wine, so I have to stay with the wine, you know?
That's a crazy choice for a Halloween party. I think we're gonna do fireball shots again. We did fireball shots on my birthday,
Thoughts
and
and
I think that's why I got fucked up.
thoughts and prayers with you tomorrow. And also I need to not be fucked up tomorrow, so
Yeah, I need to write 2 essays.
I've got to go down to the Meta Music Business Conference. Will not be exciting. Um anyway, why this one was shocking. True, like kind of shocked me to my core. Why am I so single to close?
I think it's really unfortunate. If
Yeah.
you have not listened to, I actually don't know how much of it has stayed in. For the past couple of weeks, we've been getting really into the Why Am I So Single like advertising.
We've been on our Why Am I So Single grind.
And Esme was telling me, and then we went to go see it, the Garrick Theatre, where it's
Looks
at.
sick.
They've done, obviously the name, it has the little sign saying Garrick, and
Yeah.
they've painted the ick in
Yeah.
the like, Why Am I So Single pink?
Yeah.
Like, it's ick, like an ick.
And at first I thought they were just like in the middle of putting something up, but like it's very like they've done it on both sides. It's
like fun.
yeah.
And I like their like tube posters, which I found out like a ton of them are different.
Yeah.
Where it's like, why am I so? But then it's words like dazzling, like show-stopping, like amazing, like all words from reviews describing the show or the actors in it. Then at the bottom, single. It's like now playing at the Garrick Theatre.
I think
It's fun. I want to go see it. And
I do want to go see it.
It's like January.
I think we'll find a way to go see it. Because I get my daily drops now because I'm now silver status with Today Talks.
Oh my god, Esme, do you want to know something?
What?
I'm now gold with Starbucks. Yeah.
I think there's a lot that's gone into why am I so single closing this early. I don't necessarily think it's because it is hard for new musicals to thrive on the West End as it is anywhere at the moment. However, I don't think that's entirely the reason why Most a Single has failed, you know? Or not run as long as it's supposed to. I think someone pointed this out. I think it was Mickey Joe Theatre who did a very considered video about it. He said not Hamilton, Hadestown is new to the British public, and that's running. Thank God I'd kill myself if it closed. Like Mincemeat, for all the shit we give it, is a new British musical which is selling out the Fortune Theatre at extortionate prices night after night after night. That means something, you know? And like Six, by the same people, obviously, massive success story, new British musical theatre. Like, I think they could have used TikTok more. That's what I keep thinking. They should have followed what I'm now dubbing the Gatsby model.
Yeah. I think, like, we can sit here all we want and be like, they should have done this and this would have saved them. I mean, even when you just look at, like, the sheer amount of, like, adaptations, like, I don't really think they stood much of a chance, unfortunately.
I think,
like, I really think not just, like, people going to the theatre, but people investing in theatre don't actually care about new musicals. They like something that will guarantee, like, fans.
Yeah.
Like, someone who likes the film 13 Going on 30 will go and see 13 Going on 30 musical. Or musicals, like Operation Mincemeat
is still technically based on property.
Yeah, I mean, it's based off a real thing, and it is an original musical, and it is, like, the outlier here.
Yeah.
But also, there is a film called Operation Mincemeat that they have also lent into a lot, being like, here's where Colin Firth will sit when he comes and sees our show.
Yeah.
Colin Firth was in the film Operation Mincemeat. They're two very different shows. Operation Mincemeat, the film, is very serious. Musical is not. But I think when you see stuff like that, like, over and over again, that everything going to stage right now is just adaptations.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, I don't think they've really stood a chance. And the second, like, Why Most a Single wasn't getting, like, the same level of sales that Six was getting, I think, like, investors pulled out, which is stupid. But...
my more like frustration about like what they could have done comes from the fact that Why Most a Single did have the abilities to succeed. Like, it was going to be hard. However, it could have succeeded. And I don't know. I want to go see it. Like, I'm rooting for this show.
I really want to go see it.
And so I'm annoyed that it isn't running longer. And I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated at not. I don't want to say I'm frustrated. I am frustrated at the marketing. But I'm also frustrated at the general state of the West End right now. To change it, like, what, like, I just keep thinking, like, I bet you it's going to be the most commercial, bland thing that replaces it at the Garrick.
Yeah.
That's also, like, what I'm thinking. Like, when 222 came back and like, did, like, a tease, like, oh, we're coming back, I was like, oh my God, it's going into the Garrick, isn't it?
Yeah. No hate to 222.
I find it deeply fascinating.
But it is, you know, we can't ever go, like, a year without it.
It is like the Grim Reaper of, like, musicals, of, like, theatre, where, like, a show closes and then it goes in. Because they did it at the Gielgud when opening night went up in flames.
Yeah. They're always ready to come back.
They're always ready.
Which is kind of fun.
It's like, don't say it's like the new Macbeth. You can't say it in a theatre or else the show will close in 222 or replace it.
Yeah.
I think it's played.
Did they actually announce what they're doing?
Oh, it's a tour.
Do you know that for sure? Did they announce it? I thought their announcement was today.
Yes, they did. They announced it earlier.
Oh, I didn't see. I woke up quite late.
Now it's time for Gatsby Corner, guys. Jeremy Jordan is leaving Gatsby in January, I believe. I was kind of shocked by that. I don't know. I forget how long it's been open for. It feels like it's been open for 2 days and also 12 years. I have so many thoughts and opinions on this. It will be interesting to see how they do the marketing, because a large part of it is Jeremy Jordan and Eva Noblezada in The Great Gatsby on Broadway. You know? So yeah. I've seen people saying that they want Aaron Tveit to play Gatsby, which would be funny.
Yeah.
I would laugh. However, people are like, Aaron Tveit is a different type of tenor, which, yeah, he is. Also, the Moulin Rouge are getting annoyed at The Great Gatsby on Broadway again, and like to that I say,
Nothing.
you like Moulin Rouge the musical. You have no ground to stand on. Like, here's the thing. I don't like Moulin Rouge. The best way to describe how I feel about Gatsby is it's my Moulin Rouge. Do I think it's good? No. Do I think it's deeply entertaining? Yes. Let me rock. Anyway, deeply intrigued to see who they get to replace him. Because they're going to have to pull out a semi-name, you know?
I really can't think of who will replace him.
No. I would
Who
say
else is big enough?
Outsiders Boys are too young.
I think it could be another ex-Jack Kelly.
I've seen Derek Fenner thrown around.
I think Corey Cott could go in. Corey Cott wasn't even... Oh, he was.
He was Jack Kelly because I kept getting them confused with the bandstand and Newsy screenings that were happening at the same time.
Icon.
So funny.
And then they like congratulated Jeremy Jordan on bandstand. That was a great moment.
Great day in our lives. Yeah.
I could see Corey Cott doing it.
I could see it like you know exactly the type of band that they're gonna get to play that role.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'll make a load of TikToks about it. Just dropped a tennis shit again. Anyway.
They might do a TikToker. JJ Nyman? If Back to the Future is closing.
I think Pete Reeds is quite young and fresh faced.
Yeah.
And you do need someone a bit older.
Yeah. He could be
he could be Nick.
Yes, Nick. Yeah.
But yeah. We shall see. The Great Gatsby's roaring on.
They said they were going to announce it soon.
I genuinely didn't think that they were going to make it past the end of Jeremy Jordan's contract. I was like, the second that those two are done, the show is done. So the fact that they're like announcing a replacement is deeply interesting to me. I could also see them doing like another CW star.
Yeah.
For the shits and gigs, could Aaron Tveit just do it for 2 weeks? He wouldn't be very good at it.
Quite funny.
But I would be having the best time ever. Anyway, that has been Gatsby Corner. It's been good to be back. So, Assassins is a musical with music and lyrics by Stephen Sondheim and a book by John Wildman. It all began, Sondheim says, about a decade ago when producer John Stewart Osro formed something called the Musical Theatre Lab, which was devoted to finding and encouraging new work. There were several panel composers and songwriters. One script that came across the desk was by a man named Charles Gilbert called Assassins. I like the title, Sondheim says. I knew that it was a great idea for a musical. Mr. Gilbert's Assassins was a narrative about a Vietnam veteran who becomes a presidential assassin. Interweaving are readings from diaries and poems and whatever newspaper accounts of real presidential assassins. For example, Mr. Sondheim says, there was a poem by Charles Gertrude wrote on the day of his execution, which began, I'm going to the Lordy. In fact, I quote 2 lines in one of my songs. That poem and letters and diaries was what was most interesting about it. The narrative seemed to weigh the piece down. So we never did it. I thought, I wish I had that idea. Years passed, then Mr. Wildman came to Mr. Sondheim. I love the way that the New York Times talk about people. It's so fun. Just like they're always having like the Mr. or Miss in front of their name.
Yeah.
Never fooled me.
It's kind of cute.
They have a quirk. Their working style, their writing style is quirky. With the idea for a musical about an American president. It reminded Sondheim of the old Assassin scripts. He mentioned it to Wildman. With help from Theodore Chapman, who was Ostro's assistant at the Musical Theatre Lab and is now executive director of the Rogers and Hammerstein organization, they tracked down Gilbert and asked him permission to, in Sondheim's word, take his idea and run with it in his own way. That involved investigating the unexplored area between narrative or book musical and review. The opinion of the options for the characters was a playwright's feast, initially included a range of historical figures reaching back as far as the murder of Julius Caesar. However, Sondheim and Wildman soon decided to limit the scope to American figures and set about to identify some common grievance among them. At first, They thought their suspect would be the assassination through the ages, but there was too much material. They ended up focusing on American presidential assassins. The plot the plan was much material. The plan was that the piece was built around character, around people who had something in common. They were entirely different people, but they were motivated by a similar kind of passion. The idea that evolved from the different areas would have scenes together. The idea that people from different eras would have scenes together was exciting. I love the notion that John Wilkes Booth could talk to somebody who lived 50 years after he died. Once the barriers were down, you can allow yourself to cross into areas and find parallels and contrasts. One thing we found out when we looked at them was that we were not writing about shooting the President of the United States. What's provocative about and upsetting about and disturbing about their lives they led up to the point, and those lives and what those lives reveal. So, in a sense, by applying horrifying facts in which they ended their journeys were like tickets of admission to a show rather than to something that the show was about. When it comes to the meaning of the mosaic, however, what the lives of the assassins reveal, the three creators are a bit more evasive. The piece should speak for itself. We don't want to tell people how or what they should think about it. We don't want to preach or propagate. Promulate. I know how to say that word, but I'm not blanking on it right now. Promulate? Well, I don't actually care.
Promulgate?
Huh? Sorry?
Promulgate?
Yeah,
Promulgate?
something like that.
Something like that.
When the composer who presented his audiences a challenge over the years gently issues another, what would be nice is to tell them to take the journey with us. It's a real roller coaster ride. So, Playwrights Horizons would produce a workshop of assassins in 1989 with Christine Baranski as Sarah Jane Moore. She was just kind of in the ensemble, which
Why not?
I forget that, like, obviously Sondheim had a lot of pull with a certain, like, echelon of celebrity. So I was like, yeah, of course I want to be the next Sondheim. Like, Meryl Streep did Sondheim, I think. Like,
Icon.
of course.
Love her.
It would open off-Broadway at Playwrights Horizons Wilder Theatre in December 1990. The New York Times, by Frank Rich, would say, no one in the American musical theatre but Stephen Sondheim could have created a chorus line that greets, or should one say affronts, the audience at the beginning and end of Assassins. The new review at Playwrights Horizons, dressed in motley garb ranging from Victorian finery, John Wilkes Booth, to workers' rags, Leon Golotsky, to more leisure wear, John Hinckley. The chorus line is entirely populated by a not-so-exclusive club of men and women who have tried, with and without success, to kill the President of the United States. While their song may echo the sentiments of dozens of other Broadway musicals, everybody's got a right to their dreams, goes the lyrics. The singer's explanations of those variously glassy-eyed and vacant, determined, smiling, and angry and psychopathic, sorry. Everyone's sulking in their procession packs and eventually points a gun. The effect of the reenactment chorus line, a striking image in a diffusive evening, is totally disorientating. As someone had removed a large boulder from the picturesque landscape of American history that we all expose to the light of the molten creatures that have been hiding in the darkness underneath. To Mr. Sondheim, the dreams of presidential assassins seem to be not much different from those in the empty all-American dreams of stardom he enshrined in gypsies. These killers want to grab the headlines, get the girl, and see their names in lights, in keeping with his past musicals animating the passions of the certainly insane Anyone Can Whistles, and the mass murders Sweeney Todd. The songwriters give
quite the repertoire, doesn't he?
I was thinking about it. I was like, Sondheim is like, he had a dark mind, and he liked to share those thoughts with the world.
And he did it well.
And to that I say, thank you, Sondheim. You write bangers. This songwriter gives gentle, not mocking voice to the hopes, fears, and rages of 2 centuries worth of American losers, misfits, nuts, zombies, and freaks. These are people who have another national anthem because they are too far back in line to get to the ballpark where the other one is sung. These are the lost, underprivileged souls who, having been deterred every American dream of growing up to be the president, try to achieve a warped, nightmarish version of the dream instead. One need not agree with Sondheim's cynical view of history or humanity to feel that Assassins has the potential to be an extraordinary piece of theatre. This off-Broadway premiere, unfortunately, potentially is unfulfilled. The show takes too much work of mixing historical figures and characters with E.L. Doctorow's abandon. His work often seems slender and sketchy, not only because it only runs 90 minutes and is only 8 songs. Mr. Sondheim's conviction that there is a shadow of America, a poisoned, not have America, must be recognized by the populist majority if the violence of our history is understood and overcome. This is not the message that audiences necessarily want to hear at any time, but during a juvenistic time of war in which this production happens to find itself, it may regard the sentiment as insanitary. But Mr. Sondheim has real guts. He isn't ashamed to identify with his assassins to an extreme point where he will wave a gun in a crowded theatre. Artistically speaking, it's what we need to hit the target of American complacency. Whilst the target is a valuable one, especially at this historical moment, Assassins will have to fire with sharper aim and fewer blanks if it shoots to kill. So overall, they didn't really get it. When it was first reviewed off Broadway, they couldn't really work out whether or not Sondheim was like condemning them or they didn't like the fact that it wasn't black and white.
And
I'm like, that's just theatre. Like, I don't know.
I think it might be that thing we said in Sweeney Todd that he was just kind of ahead of his time.
Yeah, I mean, we will talk about political violence and how Assassins has been received in recent years. I did read a review for the 2021 production, and no one mentioned January 6th, which I was like, weird. I thought you guys would be making that analogy every 2 days. Anyway, it would close after a couple of months. With hindsight, it seems, with Sondheim and Wildman talking about the closure like the year after. With hindsight, it hardly seems surprising that Assassins elicited such strong reactions when it premiered off Broadway. We could have believed that it would pluck cats from New York theatre. Yet, some people felt like we were attacking the essence of America. It seemed to me that we were doing quite the opposite. This is an American show about Americans. We attempt to examine the darker side of what's referred to as the American dream, but we hope it would not be perceived as anti-American. Sondheim says, it's about what promises our political system offers us, such as the one that anyone could be the next president of the United States, which is untrue. I really like that quote of, it's just kind of about the end of the American dream and what happens when you take it to its extreme.
Yeah.
Like, because the American dream isn't something, obviously, that we're British. We don't buy into the American dream here. It's not something that we've grown up with.
Yeah.
But, like, a lot of these people that are subjects of Assassins, it is, and a lot of them are motivated by some kind of deep need for attention. And that quote, last thing he says, such as the one anyone could be the next president, which is untrue. Because that's the thing. You watch a lot of American kids' TV shows, and it's like, you can be an astronaut or the president. And it's just like, no. Anyway, it would then play in the Dartnall warehouse in 1992 under the direction of Sam Mendes. So, fun fact, Assassins was the show to open the Dartnall warehouse.
Really?
Yeah. Which makes sense. It's only been going like 32 years because Next Door was in their 30th season. It's like Sam Mendes. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, what else I thought opened the Donmars.
No, I didn't know it was Assassins.
I just didn't think it was Assassins.
But then the second I thought about it, I was like, yes, of course. The place that in recent years has done Great Comet is doing Great Comet and done Next to Normal and like did the band's visit was opened with Assassins.
Like, yeah, that makes complete sense.
Yeah, like, of course the place that gets all of like the thing with the Donmar is it often gets American musicals that are deeply beloved and kind of weird. wouldn't work in commercial spaces.
Yeah.
And that is Assassins to a T.
Yeah.
Um, but no, this Kickstart started a really interesting history with Sondheim and Sam Mendes, with him opening the theatre to do the show. Sam Mendes would then go on to direct the cabaret revival that like everyone would not stop talking about, especially in America, in relation to this new production of cabaret. They were like, it's no Sam Mendes cabaret. And it's like, okay, well, no, Sam Mendes isn't directing it, so I don't know why you thought it would be. Um, and you did you see the Sweaty Oracle posted a clip of a production of Company, and it all looked like they were high.
Yeah.
That was Sam Mendes at the Donmar.
Fun.
Love you, Donmar. It did better in London than it did in New York, with a write-up in the LA Times saying talk about bad timing. If you were to open a complex musical with a controversial theme telling the story of 9 people who at different times tried to kill the US presidents, you would not want to do it at a time when the country was in an ultra-patriotic mood. But that was the fate of Stephen Sondheim's Assassins, which opened in a workshop production at Playwrights Horizons in December of 1999 during the prelude to the Gulf War. It received reviews ranging from cool to hostile. Critics questioned whether the presidential assassins was a subject fit for a musical, few found it frankly unpatriotic. It never went to Broadway. Now, Assassins have been received here, and the story is very different. London theatre critics raved about the show, and it has become the hot ticket in town this fall. The 250-seater Donmar Warehouse in Covent Garden is likely to sell out its 12-week run of Assassins, and it's like talking about transferring somewhere to a larger theatre next year. This has come as a relief to Sondheim, who wrote the lyrics to Assassins, and librettist John Wildman. I think British audiences will be able to see the show more clearly than that's the case in New York. But whether they'll have an emotional identification is what I'm curious to see. The British can certainly relate to Kennedy's death. Whether or not they can relate to Lincoln's, I'm not clear. I mean, I've seen plays about Queen Victoria, and I'm interested, but what can I say? It does, but I can't say it does anything to me. John Peter of the Sunday Times led the applause, calling it a lethargy brilliant musical, which pushes further out the limits of the extraordinary theatrical form. Hard, unsentimental, blood-curdling funny is a requiem, rather than light or dark, a cry for help. The Telegraph would say it engages the heart as well as the head. A rare achievement in Sondheim. For all the cleverness, there is a surprising depth of feeling. Benedict Nightingale, The Times agreed. Assassins is an audacious blend of bang and whimper. The show's original bite and drive would silence the most doubts. The Guardian would say it restores my faith in a seemingly bankrupt genre. So they would add the song Something Just Broke for this production, which is actually like one of my favorite songs in Assassins. I think it's so interesting. Like the whole idea of them I'm actually just gonna save that for my thoughts. So it would be nominated for 3 Olivier Awards and win 1. They would plan to bring it to Broadway in late 2001. However,
Ooh,
surprise, surprise,
what could go wrong?
they would delay the musical about political violence after 9/11.
Just a little.
Just 3 years. We'll do it again in 3 years. Sondheim and Wildman would say about the cancellation. Assassins is a show that asks audiences to think critically about various aspects of the American experience. In light of Tuesday's murderous assault on our nation, we feel the most fundamental thing which we believe in. We, Roundabout, and the director Joe Mantello believe it is not appropriate time to present our show which makes such a demand. Fair enough. Time and place, I guess. It would finally go to Broadway in 2004 with the opening on the 27th of April 2004. The New York Times would say, this is what you wanted, isn't it? A clear shot at the big time where people would have to pay attention to them more than 2 decades after it first surfaced onto critical shudders and the heart-scrunching, unhappy have-nots of Assassins, glittering dark musical comedy by Stephen Sondheim and John Wildman about Americans who dream of killing their country's presidents has finally made its way to Broadway. So, can these desperate people who have their biggest fear of thought of being small actually expand in a production of the lavish production that they have been given? Oh boy, can they ever! Accompanied by a symphoniously full orchestra, portrayed by a cast that finds the magnetism in rage and resentment. The frightening title characters of Assassins are resenting their demand to be noticed at the Roundabout Theatre. Under Joe Mantello's direction, they are doing so with an electros and an intensity that makes a compelling case for this murderous show. Yet, let it be stated that Assassins does not celebrate its homicidal subjects. Mr. Sondheim and Mr. Wildman are simply posing the question that arises in many people's minds when they read about these shooting, irrational crimes. Why would someone do that? Sorry. Mr. Sondheim already proved himself qualified to pursue each question in Sweeney Todd. The show asked audiences to enter if they dare to a mind polluted with a rage fever. To my knowledge, no one left Sweeney Todd with the ambition to be a cannibal barber. But you can imagine I can't imagine someone who would see Assassins and have the slightest desire to emulate its characters. But leave it to Mr. Sondheim to identify certain emotional portions, feelings of disposition and disillusion, of failure and altercation as chemicals that exist in small quantities in every human body. Mr. Sondheim magnifies those elements to monstrous proportions, and you being able to recognize them as familiar makes their presence even more looming, distorted forms of scarier. What's more, Assassins is also acquired to a new collection of contemporary culture. It would be nominated for Best Revival, Best Direction for Joe Mantello, Best Performance by a Featured Actor for a Musical for Michael Cerveris, Best Scenic Design, Best Orchestrations. It would win 5 in the 2004 Tony Awards, making it the most awarded thing that night.
Incredible.
Was it Wicked? Was it Avenue Q? It was the revival of Assassins, starring Neil Patrick Harris. I feel the need to say that now.
Love Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris, I love you. Anyway, synopsis time.
A darkly comic Tony Award winner that examines the motives of the 9 notorious Americans who took their shot at the President of the United States. This wickedly subversive spectacle explores the national fixation on celebrity and its violent intersection with the American dream. Yeah.
That's Assassins.
I guess so. I think that's one of the best synopses.
Yeah, I really do like Assassins. I think it is asking a deeply nuanced question about violence and political violence in America, and I do kind of understand why in the 90s they weren't as receptive to it. Because of all of these other. Because of I think a lot to do with Assassins and the way it's received is what you can't. Basically, what I'm trying to say is you can't disengage Assassins from the politics of the time that you see it in. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I remember when Trump got shot, someone said, "Man, I hope there's a production of Assassins happening tonight." I didn't say that.
It's a joke. Of being like,
yeah.
I've been like, haha, assassination attempt. I hope a production of Assassins is on. But also, like, because I think if I went to go see Assassins, like 5 years ago, or even earlier, like before Trump's presidency,
I was thinking like Obama era Assassins must have been like, this is so crazy. It's in the past now.
But like this idea of like, oh, I can sympathize with some of the feelings of these men. But, ultimately don't try and kill the President of the United States.
Yeah.
I think during and post-Trump, I think you get a very different reaction of being like, what's the like right way to put it? Because not like, hell yeah, we're rooting for them. Obviously not. But I think you get that understanding more of you get how someone can be so frustrated with politics that it
yes.
drives them to that point.
It's also
And this is not me saying I would ever assassinate anyone. I wouldn't.
as I said, I don't want Trump to be assassinated. I'd just like him to go to prison.
I think the more and more like divisive politics we get in the world.
Yes, I agree. I think I know where you're going, and I agree.
Like I think like that's what makes Assassins a really like long-standing musical.
Yes, yes, yes.
Is
Because
that it's not the same in like we were just saying, from when it first opened to now, if you watched a production of it like every single year, like Social Experiment, let's get the same actors every single year to do a production of Assassins.
starting
But I
next
think
Tuesday.
yeah, but like not only would the audience view it different, like one of those things, if the exact same people acted and the exact same people watched every single year for like 20 years, each year they would have a different interpretation. The people on stage would play it differently, the people watching it would take it differently.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that I just think like Sondheim was ahead of his time. Because
think...
it's not a timeless musical in that you still get those initial like thoughts. Something like what is an actual like timeless musical? Not to bring it back to this again, but like Phantom.
Yeah, I was about to say Phantom.
The plot is pretty shallow. There's not a ton going on there. So you kind of watch it and you're like, yeah, Andy was right, even ugly guys can get the girl.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the extent of Phantom. Not the book. The book is deep. Kenny Ortega, Call Me Up.
Kenny. She did a bash of Rocky Horror last week. I did.
Exactly. Kenny, please just let me. But like, I think Phantom is timeless because there's kind of not a whole ton going on. Whereas I think Assassins and like, say with something like Sweeney Todd is timeless because it really gets to like, it has some really core themes. I was thinking about this as like, maybe that's what a lot of like modern musicals are missing. And that's why adaptations are doing so much better. Because when you're adapting a film that came out 20 years ago, it has like themes. Like 13 going on 30 is not like stuck in whenever the fuck it came out. The 90s? Early 2000s?
Early 2000s. I love that movie.
Yeah.
Let me triple check, but I'm 90% sure it is the early 2000s.
Yeah. But it's not like only that, like, it's not a commentary about the early 2000s.
No.
It is about like growing up, like losing your childhood.
Yeah.
And like
it's about joy.
Very much the same themes you get in like Matilda.
It came out in 2004.
Damn. It really hit for you.
I love that movie! Me and my sister once convinced my little sister that Peppa Pig was in it so we could watch it when we were children.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
But I think in contrast, something like Why Am I So Single? And again, I haven't seen Why Am I So Single, so take this with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But I'm not entirely sure it has the same kind of themes that make it like timeless. Like it's very much like here is a musical about the 2020s, about dating in the 2020s and what dating is like now, which is fun.
Yeah.
But it's like, in 5 years,
it's going to feel outdated if they don't update the script. Whereas they've made one addition to the script of Assassins, and it's like when I listen to the Ballad of John Wilkes Booth, Ballad of Booth, I would actually pull up some of the lines because I actually want to. I want to get them right. All I was listening to it earlier. Basically, the whole thing of Booth really believing, because I did do some research into who these American assassins were, because again, I wasn't too familiar. This isn't history we're taught frequently over here. The most I've ever thought about John Wilkes Booth has been in relation to O'Mary. But that's a smart way of interacting with it. But him just truly believing within his heart of hearts that America has gone to shit and it's all Abraham Lincoln's fault and he needs to avenge America, and him almost like that's kind of what you're seeing with Trump supporters today.
Yeah.
And it is creepy. and it is sinister in a way that it probably wouldn't have been in the Obama era because, oh my God, this man is so like moved by racism that he has to go and shoot someone. He's so racist that he has to like go shoot someone because John Wilkes Booth was a massive fan of slavery. That's why he killed Lincoln because he was like, "You removed slavery. The South is now poor, so I'm going to kill you." Um, yeah. In the Obama administration, they'd be like, "Oh, there's a black man is president." Like, like no one is that moved by racism anymore. But like nowadays, it's like, yeah, no, they are. Trump.
Yeah. I think, like, to be fair with the Assassins, I should probably have said this earlier on as well. My deepest connection to it, as in like the most I have properly, like, I've listened to it a little.
Yeah.
I know what it's about. I know it best from The Politician. The show with Ben Platt.
Easy is that.
Insane. But they do a production of Assassins in it.
They do.
Politician is it's an incredible show, actually.
Unfortunately, like Ben Platt and Ryan Murphy already snapped off there. But what I was going to say, it is so crazy that they sing "Unworthy of Your Love." Like it slaps. However, like what was her name? What was her name? The girl who was clearly a joke on Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
Yeah, let me get up.
Infinity.
Like, oh my God, their names are
Infinity Jackson. Playing a character who's deeply in love with Charles Manson. What?
Oh my God, what a show.
Also, why did they sing that random ass Joni Mitchell song? Because a guy named River dies.
That was actually hilarious. They sing River after his boyfriend River dies.
His secret boyfriend, who's also dating Aspen.
Oh my God.
Laura Dreyfus is just there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
Oh my God, it's so...
It took me so long to realise, like, what the context of that song was.
Yeah.
Because of The Politician.
I also forget that, like, Gwyneth Paltrow is in it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Jackie Hoffman's in it.
Yeah, that checks out.
For one episode, but... No, for both seasons. Was just a guest in season 1.
Oh.
That's Jesus. Bette Midler's in it.
Yeah, checks
I
out.
knew Bette Midler was in it.
Yeah.
She's Dee Dee's chief of staff.
Oh,
Dee Dee, what a character.
Sorry, that's just unlocked something deep within me.
Jesus.
Yeah.
But like they just do
Assassins.
Like Assassins. Like halfway through season 1.
And then isn't it just like the assassination of whatever Ben Platt's character name is? Holden something.
Peyton.
The assassination of Peyton Part 1 and assassination of Peyton Part 2, where everyone's just trying to kill him.
On election day, Astrid tells Peyton she's dropping out. Peyton wins the election but is deprived of the satisfaction of achieving his goal. This shakes his confidence and he fails to get any initiatives passed. Sky plans with McAfee to remove Peyton from office, and Peyton gets sick after eating a cupcake made by McAfee and Sky. After Infinity moves out, Dusty enlists Ricardo to kill Peyton, blaming him for what has happened. Ricardo shoots Peyton with a BB gun pellet dipped in possum guts, which will give Peyton sepsis. And then part 2. The secrets behind Peyton's campaign come to light. So he is forced to resign as president and Sky takes his place. It is also revealed that Harvard rescinded Peyton's admission. Sky offers the VP spot to McAfee, but McAfee reveals she knows Sky poisoned Peyton and has them arrested. Meanwhile, Keaton discovers Georgina's plan to run away with her ex-lover, so he writes her and Peyton out of the will per their agreement. Infinity learns of Ricardo's plan and tells the doctor saving Peyton's life. Infinity and Ricardo both converge on Dusty's home, which ends with Dusty accidentally shooting Ricardo. Ricardo agrees to tell police everything Dusty did, including poisoning Infinity's mother, which led to her. Meanwhile, Alice and James both leave Peyton's team while Astrid turns in her father to the FBI for wire fraud. Peyton and Georgina drive to the train station where Georgina tearfully departs. And that's the penultimate episode.
Yeah,
there is another episode after that.
And then the episode, like the whole season ends with Ben Platt singing again for some reason.
Icon.
I love The Politician.
The Politician is perhaps like the greatest show ever made.
Okay, so that was like what Glee was, but 20 episodes.
Politician's a great show. But yeah, they just do assassins in it.
Which kind of makes sense. Like, Ryan Murphy was kind of playing
they don't even do it in the Assassinations episode, do they?
No, they do it like 2 episodes before.
It's also crazy that this all of season 1 was 8 episodes long.
It felt like 20 million.
It felt very long. Hold on, I'm trying to find out which is the one they do Assassins in.
Let me check something real
Do you
quick.
want to know what the start of the episode 2 description is?
Is it about Riv killing himself with a gun?
No, that's episode 1, of
Ah.
course.
Oh yeah, no,
Riv
it's in like the
kills
first 5 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's
Um,
it to?
the start of episode 2 is Georgina tells Keaton, Peyton's adoptive father, that she's in love with a woman and wants a divorce, leading Keaton to attempt suicide. He survives and is put in a medically induced coma.
Oh yeah.
And then you want to know what the other single best part of this entire series is?
Yeah.
Because it's the start of the next sentence of episode 2.
Mm.
And I actually didn't pick up on this when I first watched the show. Peyton's adopted brothers, twins Martin and Luther, which is incredible.
Ryan Murphy,
And-
you are not seeing heaven.
And they try to kill their father, so then Keaton writes them out of it. It's a truly incredible show.
It's iconic.
It might actually, it's not in episode 1.
No, it's a bit later than that because by that point they've worked out that Infinity doesn't have
No,
cancer.
but they find out she doesn't have cancer at the end of episode 2.
Right. Politician.
Pierre Toussaint. This show was fucking insane.
I love reading the plots of Ryan Murphy shows after the fact because they just make you think, why was I watching that?
Fucking episode was.
I'm
I'm
to
so
find it.
distracted by this.
Did you find out what episode?
It is in the assassination of Peyton Hunt.
Okay.
It's just where is it? Peyton has dinner with Infinity soon after and asks her for help to enjoy the last few months of school. They then both audition for the school musical and get parts. When Ricardo finds out that Infinity is going to be in the play too, he also decides to get involved. The play is about John Hinckley Jr., a man who attempts to kill President Reagan. So they don't do assassins.
No, they do a version of
Yeah.
Assassins. They do a song for Assassins. Even in universe, they only do one part of Assassins.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if they then continue it in the second part, but I don't think they do.
Because the character that Infinity is playing, Squeak, she's trying to assassinate the guy before Reagan, I believe. Yeah, Lynette, Squeaky, Fawn, and Sarah Jane Moore. Yeah, they tried to assassinate Gerald Ford instead of Reagan. Because she was the one in the Manson cult. Still alive,
yeah.
I think. Because they were both so bad at trying to be assassins. So they're out of prison.
I think it's one of those things of like, Assassins is a genuinely like very good musical.
Yeah.
A very interesting musical.
The themes are really quite nuanced.
It is also batshit insane enough to be put into the show The Politician and make complete sense.
Yes. Yeah.
And honestly, the thing with The Politician is they could, I mean, like multiple people attempt suicide throughout the course of like 8 episodes.
The way the politician
And it's always done very like funny.
Is very different than our concept of death.
Yeah. Like the whole premise of The Politician is they are high school students running for student body president. But it is like they're trying to like genuinely kill each other as they're doing this.
Yeah.
It's like incredible.
I think at one point in in the assassination episode, they're all like running around going, "I'm gonna kill Peyton. I'm gonna kill Peyton.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill Peyton. I'm gonna kill," and they all make serious threats against this man's life, and then they all are all friends the next season.
Yeah, the thing is, they're like friends at the beginning of the season. They hate each other for like 7 episodes straight, and then the second season, they all get together. Well, no,
Yeah, no, it's like
Edie has a throuple, and then Peyton's like, well, clearly we need a throuple to win this election.
Yeah, and it's like Astrid and then like his girlfriend who he's had for a while, who's basically been his first lady in training, and he gets both of them pregnant at the same time, and then Astrid goes to a baby farm and like has an epiphany and has an abortion, and then the first lady in training, who I'm forgetting her name, has the baby, and the series ends with Peyton and his baby and his 2 advisors in political office.
It's a truly incredible show. If you've never watched The Politician, I actually really recommend it.
I would recommend it
Because
being
it's
under the
insane.
influence of something and just like watching The Politician because
Yeah.
you'll have the best time ever. But back to Stephen Sondheim.
Back to the very like deep,
Deep,
influential musical Assassins.
deep influential,
Um,
like we are still seeing themes that are applicable to this day. I want to talk about something just
I think
broke.
maybe that's where my
Wait, sorry,
sorry,
go.
I'll let you talk in a second. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
my final thing with The Politician, the reason I brought it up,
yeah.
is just because I think that's why my perception of Assassins is slightly skewed.
In doing this research, I
Because
like
to
had to
me,
look into
it
my
is
brain.
just like it's The Politician. Like
Yeah,
they do this show on The Politician.
it has
Um,
parallels with The Politician.
it's to me, it's like if I knew Heathers from Riverdale.
Yes, that's a really good
Like
analogy,
it's a
actually.
little like I don't like I get it, but I don't fully get it because to me it will always be like
The
they tried to
headers.
give him sepsis to kill him for a high school election,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that is the plot of Assassins.
yeah. No, so it was weird, like fully listening to it as a bit more of a grown person, and like be like, oh, I'm creeped out. This is really quite weird and sinister and creepy, and
Yeah.
especially in the context we find ourselves in today, where again, political violence is becoming more and more normal. I mean, not even just in America, in the UK as well, like the South, the riots that happened over the summer. Um,
Mm.
they were active political violence. Yeah, so it was really quite sinister and scary to listen to some of it. Something just broke, which was a song that they added for the Donmar run. Um, it is basically the whole idea, if you're not aware of what it is, the whole idea is, oh, I've just ended up on Ethan Slater's Spotify page.
Oh,
Well,
fun.
let me offer that. Um, is so we spent basically the entire musical is the nine assassins and these two other guys. There's the proprietor who is like the ringleader of all of it, kind of edging them on a little bit, like providing them their
Mm.
guns at the start of the show and like letting them practice shooting. And then there's the role that Ethan Slater played, who is the personification of the American dream. Now, the fact that it took some time until the 90s to have a character who's just straight up is the American dream is quite shocking.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they do. Another thing that I think is very smart is they start with one of the most famous presidential assassinations, especially tied to theatre. They start with the assassination of Lincoln. Because that's probably the one that going in, everyone's like, oh, if it's got something, if it's a theatre show, they're gonna talk about the assassination of Lincoln.
Oh, it was like they had it was the quote from one of the interviews at the start, where it was like the actual events of the assassinations are like the ticket to the show,
Yeah,
not what the show is about.
yeah.
I think that, like, to be fair, that was what kind of made me be like, that's what Assassins is.
Yeah.
Like, it is not about assassins. Oh no, it's about the assassins. It's not about the assassinations.
No. Um, and I mean, there's a whole discussion to be had around true crime and assassins of like,
Yeah.
this is the original true crime thing of why did they do these? I'm so morbidly curious about these fucked up people, and a lot of people watch true crime, and a lot of people don't go out and commit murders.
Yeah.
But no, so they do that, and then they have the embodiment of the American dream. I'm forgetting how to say his name, so I'm not going to even try.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yes, he, and then obviously you're thinking the other massive presidential assassination is Kennedy, JFK.
Mm.
And they have the personification of the American dream after another national anthem where they're all kind of talking about their version of America and why they did it. So I did it to preserve the Union and promote the sale of my book. I did it so my friends would know when I was coming. Where's my prize? I did it because no one cares about a poor man's pain. I did it so I would know where I was coming from. Where was my prize? I want my prize. Did I get my prize? You know, basically quite like all of the assassins are like questioning their motives, which they've been so sure of until this point. And then you get to November 22nd, 1963, which is You
I was
know,
learning how to say it.
how do you say it?
Sholgotch or Sholgots.
I think that's it, yeah.
I had to
Yeah.
listen to Neil Patrick Harris sing it to me.
um, then you get to and by that point you're probably thinking, like, if you didn't know what was going on, you're probably thinking, oh my God, they're not doing Kennedy. They're doing a thing about presidential assassinations, and they're not touching Kennedy. No, 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 no. The guy embodying the American dream. So Ethan Slater becomes Lee Harvey Oswald. And again, it's another terrifying moment because they have all of the assassins be in the room which he committed the assassination from with him, like almost edging him on.
Mm,
People will hate me, my wife will weep, his wife will weep, the world will weep, grief, grief beyond despair, death to the innocence and hope, blister burdens which you bear. Like, that's so creepy.
yeah. Some of the things of it is so, yeah, like morbidly interesting.
Yeah,
And then still like that thing of, on the one hand, yes, these people are like kind of terrifying.
yeah.
But a big part of that is because you like look at them and you're like, oh fuck, I know people like that. Like I
Hmm.
have seen people like that in politics.
Not even just in politics, but like in your lives, like with the
Yeah.
way that like the alt-right is moving,
Yeah.
it's like the unworthy of your love when he goes Jodie, Jodie, darling. He is stalking Jodie Foster. Stuff like that, like celebrity culture, like happening. But no, after they have like probably one of the biggest presidential assassinations, some of the people who were probably seeing assassins in the 90s might have remembered where they were at that time that JFK was assassinated.
Mm.
They then had the song which was added for London, Something Just Broke, which is the first time you really spend time away from the assassins and their world, and it gives you an insight into what's happening around them. So everyone talking about where they were when they heard of the assassination attempt,
Yeah.
and I something just broke, something just made a little dent, something just broke, something just got bent, something just left a little mark, something just went dark, something just went, and you know, we have lived through a presidential assassination attempt in the past
Yeah.
year. That's kind of how it feels of, oh fuck, things have
And I think it
moved
like
now.
when you think about it, it's not just obviously not just America.
No, 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 yeah, yeah,
There was the Shinzo Abe shooting
yeah. Mm.
in Japan. I mean, there have been attempts like, did he actually die from this? Did he die? Yeah, he did. In 2022, he was killed
Yeah.
by an assassination.
Mm.
And it's one of these things that maybe we don't think of it as seriously because it's not in like a in our country or somewhere like America.
Yeah.
But it's like those kind of things do happen, and they
Mm.
are terrifying.
And like it's also like something like COVID happening. Like everyone remembers where they were when the first lockdown was announced.
Yeah,
Like I think that song is just such a great encapsulation of what it's like to live through a moment like that where you're like, oh fuck, things have changed.
yeah,
It reminds me of that song from Come From Away. You know, when they're all
yeah,
saying what they were doing before 9/11, and then 9/11 happens and they just like they're like, you are here at the start of the moment.
yeah,
I don't know. I think musical theatre is a really good art form for conveying those very big, heavy feelings.
yeah. I don't really have much to add. I think it's just because you like there's that. I think it's a fucking Tumblr post, honestly. That's
Mm.
just like the Hamlet. We were talking about Hamlet earlier.
We were talking about
Um,
Hamlet.
there's a line in Hamlet which is just like, "Now I am alone,"
Yes, you
and
love
it was
that
basically
line.
someone being like, "Fucking great line." Um, but it was someone being like, when he says, "And now I am alone,"
Mm.
in like a film adaptation, you're like, "Yeah, I guess."
Mm.
When it's like on stage, you really feel, "Oh fuck, he is alone."
Yes.
And I think it's like you can play around a lot with like the staging with. I don't remember how Assassins did it, but obviously Come From Away does it with very minimal sets.
I've seen like basically every like production shot I've seen of Assassins. It's minimal set, but they do have like shooting practice almost happening.
Mm.
Like they're at a carnival, and in like this revival, I'll show you this now. That's kind of what the set looked like.
Okay.
Like minimal set. And like
Yeah.
also the presence of having guns on stage means something different now than it did
Yeah.
in the 90s. And in the UK it means something different for us to have a gun on stage because we see a gun and we're like, oh, there's a gun. Like whereas in America it's like there's a different
Yeah.
reception, if that makes sense.
I think it like Assassins really well just plays on a lot of these things. And I
Mm.
have to assume not all of them were intentional.
No.
Like, obviously, if you're doing Assassins, there's gonna be guns on stage.
Yeah.
But when Assassins is like still running today, well, not still running, but still being done today,
Performed, yeah.
it is terrifying to have a gun on stage, especially in America.
Yeah.
Of like, oh fuck, what if they shoot me? What if this happens? Blah blah blah.
Like I know they're not going to
That
shoot me, but someone could.
yeah. Whereas like in the 90s, that was probably less so of a fear.
Yeah.
And it's the same with like how they treat a lot of the characters. Obviously, you're
Mm.
not meant to like support any of them, but you do sympathize with a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's a kind of terrifying thing to be like, oh fuck, this guy like had a point. This guy, I feel this way about politics sometimes. And it's
Well,
been like, yeah, of course you do. But you don't go around shooting people.
one of them was so disenfranchised with the poor wages and the poor conditions that he shot the president. And that discontent is a very real feeling among people all over the world at the moment.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things of we can sit here forever and talk about that. I think it's a lot harder to talk about what that means. Like, is Sondheim trying to say, like you could become an assassin if you wanted?
I don't think he
Is
is.
it like trust no one? Everyone could be in it. Like, your best friend, the guy you met who like shares your same thoughts,
Mm.
to try and kill the president. I don't think that's what he's trying to say, but I think what he is trying to say is pretty hard to put into, at least for me, pretty hard to put into words.
Yeah, and I don't want to like mean like this is the meaning of assassins because in every like interview I read with Sondheim about this, he was like, I'm not going to tell you what this means. Like figure it out yourselves almost.
Yeah. Because I think there's one thing of like, I could go and watch it and be like, this is obviously about how like politics as a whole is too divisive.
Mm.
Every single party positions themselves as we are the good guys, they are the bad guys. But
Mm.
look, we very obviously say we are the good guys, the assassins are the bad guys.
Mm.
But here we are being friends. Or not friends, but here we are understanding each other. Here you
Yeah.
are empathizing with this guy.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And I think that's a fun way to look at it. But in that same vein, reader rats.
Reader rats.
Reader rats. I can go back and be like, oh no, actually, that's not what it's saying at all. This is about, like, what's another one I can easily talk about?
Political disenfranchisement? Frenchman?
Yeah, and like
Discontent?
discontent. Like, I think even there are some parts of it that I think aren't political. Well, they are political, but aren't political. Like, they're not about, this is about politics.
Some of them are just psychotic. Like Lee has no, the guy who tried to assassinate Reagan is now out because he pled insanity and he like
Mm.
um same with the woman who was in the Manson cult. Like
I guess that's kind of what, obviously, there's a whole thing about like celebrity,
yeah.
and that's obviously kind of political, but kind of not.
That's making a completely different commentary. That means something different in
Yeah.
this day and age than it did in the 90s.
And I think as well, like, even in relation to the assassins,
Mm.
like, we know all their names, we know like their lives,
Yeah.
because we're like morbidly fascinated with them.
Yeah.
And I think again, then that then links back to like, um there's a word for it, and I'm like blanking on it. I'm forgetting. But like the us versus them mentality in politics.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Of being like, we know so much about these guys because we have this morbid fascination with what went wrong.
Yeah.
Like, where did these guys become not like us?
Yeah.
And I think the realization of, oh, maybe they didn't.
Yeah.
I think like Assassins is a really fun
Interesting.
musical. Yeah, for like thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
just also a great musical in general.
It's just good. And like, yes, we did decide to do it for the presidential election, but there's so much else it could be applied to that's happening at the moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I have been feeling a bit worn out with everything and the politics and the politics, what's going on in politics at the moment.
Mm.
I just need to go see Hadestown again and I'll be good. I'm
Yeah.
getting that feeling like I need to go sit in the lyric theatre. But no, yeah, I don't think it wants to be that. It's not like something like Suffs, which is very much wears its politics on its sleeve, and it's like is that whole thing of keep marching, keep going. Um,
Yeah, like I think Soft is one of those things where it's like we have like Soft is going there and saying this musical is left wing. We
yes,
support the Democrats.
yes,
We want the Democrats to win.
yes.
If you are a Trump supporter, if you are a Republican, you will not like this musical, and we will not like you. Which is a
Maybe
really
come and see it. Maybe you'll have your opinions changed, kind of
yeah,
thing.
but it is very much like these are our politics. This is what we're aiming for. This is what this show is about.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I think if you told me, oh yeah, Assassins, if you're like Stephen Sondheim was actually a Republican when he wrote Assassins,
Yeah,
only for Assassins, and everyone
yeah.
involved in Assassins is a Republican.
Laura Osborne's favorite musical.
Laura Osnes in Assassins.
Yeah.
Um,
I would actually, if she wasn't such a horrible person, I'd
would
probably
love
agree.
her in Assassins. Um, but I think you'd look at it differently.
Yeah.
Like I think if you tried to watch it through like a Republican or right wing lens, you'd be like, yes, I see what this is saying entirely. And
Yeah.
you would truly believe it, which I think is a more, again, I think it just makes it kind of timeless.
No, I agree.
Because to me, Assassins is very obviously left wing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very much like a kind of left wing look at politics and about
Mm.
society. But if you're like, okay, sources,
So
you know, citations, please, I'd be like, well, you see, it's because like
vibes.
it's because when I watch it,
What I believe.
what I believe is that, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
which is like I shouldn't be calling Assassins fun, but it is
No.
really fun to talk about.
It is it's fun to talk about. It's fun to think about as well.
Yeah.
Um um shall we talk about some future productions? Because they're quite interesting. Um
Yeah.
Jamie Lloyd would do one.
Icon.
Starring Aaron Tveit,
Icon.
John Wilkes Booth, and Catherine Tate.
It starred John Wilkes Booth.
No, Aaron Tveit would be John Wilkes Booth.
No.
And Catherine Tate would be Squeaky. I had to search up a photo of Catherine Tate and Aaron Tveit hanging out because I didn't believe that they knew each other when I read that. Kind of a crazy pairing. Two people I didn't expect to have insect in life apparently already have. And the Hollywood Reporter would say about it, the subject matter and the show's apparent sympathy for these killers was controversial back in the 1990s and too close to the bone for the production planned to open in 2001. It was postponed in the wake of 9/11. Perhaps audiences today are a little hardened or less easily shocked. But somehow this time feels right for this revival and its willingness to look hard at the psyches of assassins. Basically, be like, we're gonna be more nuanced place as a culture. So it would move back off Broadway. It would go back off Broadway in late 2021. So I read the New York Times review, and I was like, they're going to bring up January 6th. You know, happened a couple of months ago. No, not the reference they go for. It would say the reliably blood-curdling moment in Stephen Sondheim's and John Wildman's Assassins comes at the courtesy of the killer who is at best a footnote in American history. Charles J. Gutter, the lawyer who shot President James A. Garfield in 1981, Gutter arms the guard and audience, panning us over slowly, deliberately, in a tension-filled scene. The music has stopped. The menace is visceral. Facing the barrel of the gun even when someone's even when it's just a musical, is the kind of shock that can exist only in live theatre, Sondheim wrote in his 2011 book, Look, I Made a Hat, which he called Lingering Life or Death Moment of Assassins. His favourite in a show rifle of gun-waving murderers and murders manic. I often wondered how the confession would land in the John Doyle revival at the classic stage company, not because of the state of our armed to the teeth nation, but because of the shooting last month on the set of the Alec Baldwin film Rust, where a real gun was filled with a bullet that killed a real person, and it wasn't just pretend. Yeah, it was Huh?
Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, but that just feels
A cop-out.
yeah, less about the show
Yeah.
and more about should
Alec
we be
Baldwin.
pointing guns at people? Only if you intend to shoot them. Like,
No, but it's also like we all know like a theatre gun's never supposed to. If it goes off, it never has like a actual bullet in it.
yeah.
I mean, there's a bullet in Hamilton, but that's a dancer.
I guess maybe it's one of those things of is it meant to be a like deep thought thing of being like, think about when, we trust that these guns are fake. We trust that these actors would not shoot us. But look at these assassins. They were just normal people. You sympathize with them. You understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And yet they still kill people.
Yeah.
Can you trust that, the actor on the stage, they understand that character very well, that person very well. They're playing them. How can you be sure they wouldn't shoot you? What if the president went to go see Assassins?
Yeah.
And got a gun pointed at them?
Yeah.
I think that's a fun way to look at it, but it doesn't feel like that's what they're doing.
No.
It just very much feels like, remember when someone got shot?
Remember when someone got shot last month? Instead of being like, yeah, New York Times are always like so close to the point.
Yeah.
But never quite make it. Assassins has never faltered since its premiere 3 decades ago. For a supposed failure to make desperate parts coherent here, it's provided many times that we can. Yet Doyle's staging never manages to harness the cumulative power. Faithful though it is to the song's sung and spoken text, it is missing some visual connective tissue. Of course, there is something to be said about the country. This is a musical with deep, deep warning sense of something going frightfully wrong. Wrong with the fabric of the United States, a nation where, as the song goes, something just broke. You can still hear that alarm in this production, but don't expect it to feel any more than distantly. Which is so interesting, because that bell should be ringing, ringing, ringing in 2021.
Yeah. It's very much, the call is coming from inside the house.
We're at the point, loves.
Like,
the writing's on the Capitol wall that they just broke down.
Yeah. I've got nothing else on Assassins. I love it. I think it's a great musical.
Yeah. It's great.
I'm sorry, I only really know it from The Politician.
That's not your fault, that's Ryan Murphy.
Yeah. But I think it's good.
Yeah,
everything I do properly know of it outside of The Politician is really good. It's just unfortunately,
Ben Platt and Ryan Murphy ruined it.
Yeah.
Anyway, next week. I'm deeply afraid about the election. I hope that it goes all right this week. I don't know. People who I'm trusting seem to think it's going to go all right, but I still have a bit of a pit in my stomach.
I just sat down. I watched this TikTok that was like how I think the election will go, and it was like an hour by hour play of what they thought election night was going to be like. And I was sat there watching. I was on the edge of my seat.
Same. I have to skip to the end of them because I'm like, I need to know who they think is going to win.
It's when they do it, and it's like Trump wins like these like seats. And I'm like, fuck. No, he's
I'm like,
up. He's up like 2 points in the electoral college. Fuck. And I'm like, Harris wins this. I'm like, thank God. Thank God. Like, I'm really into it.
and it's like this is just a stupid TikTok. Like, we've been here before, but that day is gonna
It's
come
also
when
sometimes they really drag out some of the safe seats. You have to get like 20 slides in, and then like Harris wins California, and it's like no shit.
dude, you know I'm gonna be living on the interactive
Oh yeah.
presidential election map.
Oh yeah.
Wait, I was doing my own calculations. It's crazy that it only comes down to like Nevada,
Or
Arizona,
like
Georgia,
Georgia.
North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin.
Yeah. It's
Anyway,
kind of scary, but
I'm just scared. People are like, Texas might go blue. And it's like, no, it's not. We have this discussion every time.
could you imagine if Texas went blue?
What would I do if Texas went blue? Just like feel at peace. I'd feel quite at
Yeah.
peace if Texas went blue. Because he would have. Wait, let me get up my map. Texas goes blue. She would only
He's
need
kind of fucked.
Michigan. But it looks like Wisconsin.
Even if Trump gets like,
Okay, so even if Trump gets all of Wisconsin, Michigan, which it doesn't look like he's getting,
are you calling it Wisconsin?
I'm a bit sick. Wisconsin?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. They call it.
I don't think there's a T in it.
There's probably not. I'm probably saying it wrong.
Wisconsin.
Wis-
Wisconsin.
Basically, it's all going to boil down to Pennsylvania. The only way for Harris to win. Oh, no, Texas.
The only way.
The only way for her to win without getting Pennsylvania is to win all of the other swing states.
Yeah.
And I'm worried about North Carolina. I don't think North Carolina is going to go blue.
Yeah.
I think Georgia might.
Yeah. I don't know. It's tough, but I'm trying not to think about it too much until actual like election night.
I'm going to sleep.
I'm watching it, I think. But
Send me a text if things go to shit so I know to
I'll
prepare
be
myself.
live updating you.
Okay, great. Anyway, let's talk about what we're doing next week.
This one was gonna be our 4th of July show. And then I wanted to change it.
Yeah, because you came up with a bet. You were like, this is good.
I said this is funnier.
Yeah. And you texted me about it in like February.
Yeah. I texted in February and I was like, we should do this for 4th of July. And I said, actually, wait, no. When's Veterans Day? And we're doing it on Remembrance Day as well.
Yeah.
This is really cool. We're doing Bandstand.
We're doing
Bandstand.
2017,
Not the whole.
baby. Here's the thing. Even if the world goes to shit, we will be sat here talking about the 2017 Tony Awards.
Yeah.
Anyway, see you guys next week for Bandstand.
Hopefully for a happy episode.
Hopefully we'll be cheering, going, Suffs, I love you. Nothing wrong. Hillary, it's okay. I love the fact that Hillary still has up that tweet.
Oh yeah.
This little girl's gonna be president one day.
Happy birthday to this future president of the US.
Oh, Hillary, I love you. Actually, no. I don't know. I have weird feelings about her. Yeah, we'll see you guys next time for Bandstand. We'll be making our Laura Oswald jokes, 2017 jokes. Getting quite passionate
Big
about
episode.
Getting quite passionate about this musical no one cares about, so no bullshit. Follow us on socials. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.